at that emotion.
Around the outside. It's time to bring the action.
Welcome to your latest episode of SMX Insider. We are the Insiders, Jason Wygant and Daniel Blair here. Probably had a show fairly recently, Daniel, where we said, and then there were two. But I guess our math is off because we added one back in, I think, with the Atlanta round of Monster Energy Supercross.
And then there were three, Jason.
Okay.
that is how quick things can turn. And look, Chase Sexton he's in range. Let's just stop right there before we get too excited. He is in range to win this championship, and it's not just because of his ride in Atlanta. It's because of Justin Barcia, Ken Roxon, Jason Anderson, and the rest of the field that want to be involved in this championship talk. They want to get in the middle of things. But for Chase Sexton, 17 points seems like a lot. But with the way everyone else is riding right now, this thing is far from over for the 23.
Yep, 17 points. That's doable in a couple of different ways. I actually went to the MotoGP race at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, and I found Chase Sexton there on Sunday after he won on Saturday. So I asked him that exact question about his title hopes.
All I can do is go out and try and win.
Right.
I mean, I've kind of put myself in a position where I kind of have to win the rest of these races, or most of them, at least to have a shot at it. So, that's my mindset. And those guys are racing more racing each other at this point, I feel like.
Yes.
And I've kind of gotten that vibe, so now I can kind of just go out there, and if we can have Justin and Kenny in there and Jason, it can make it interesting.
Well, there you go, from Sexton himself. If he wins out, he wins the title that way. Now, look, I try to never count on guys having 5-race win streaks to end the season. But then he said the magic words. If these other guys can get in there, it can get interesting. And we just saw proof. They can get in there.
Yeah, and to be fair, Tomac and Webb could go 1-2 this weekend, and Sexton could get 5th, and all those points are gone. So this isn't just a one-way street here. But what it tells me is that this championship's going to be complicated for these last 4 rounds because everyone's riding hard. Tomac and Webb looked a little off in Atlanta, and Sexton is starting to figure things out. Jason, he has not crashed in 2 weeks. He just did a 20+1 on maybe the hardest track and most difficult temperature of the year, and it looked kind of easy to him. So I'm just saying, man, if you're excited for a 3-way championship, then you should be very excited because we have one here.
Well, I know that we're all excited that we've done it. We're going to New Jersey for the first East-West 250 showdown of the season this upcoming weekend, and we made it. The Lawrence brothers have each only lost 1 race this year. They're healthy. They're ready. We've been hoping we'd get to this point, Daniel, since the schedule came out, and here we are about 5 months later. It is on.
We've been teasing it, and here we are, a couple days away. Hunter versus Jet, East versus West. My favorite race of the year, the Showdown. Let's get to New Jersey, and let's get there quick.
And don't forget, as much as we love the fact that you love our show, you can get more analysis courtesy of none other than Ricky Carmichael and Ryan Villapoto as they break down the SuperMotocross action each week on their Title 24 podcast. You can find it on Peacock, the Motorsports and NBC YouTube channel, or wherever you get your favorite pods. Okay, it's not just a big interview here. I think it's the biggest. First of all, we got 2 guests, and this is awesome. We got the Lawrence brothers. And we're going to talk East-West Showdown coming up this weekend in New Jersey. I don't know who to go through first. I don't want to pick favorites here. I don't want to tip the visor or the hat of who we're going first. But I can't have you answer questions at the same time. So, Hunter, I'll just go with you first. You've won more recently. We keep hyping this weekend up big time as who's going to win. Are you actually thinking of it that way? Are you actually thinking of it as a championship race and you're worried about points and not messing up? What direction do you go, Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, someone's got to win,
Okay.
So obviously you want to go in and both of us want to win. But at the same time, I think it's kind of cool because we both have a pretty healthy points lead that, we can't really, obviously we touch wood within reason. We can't really mess it up as far, I think I'm 45 points and Jet's 26. So it's a good position to be in. I think everyone can kind of let their hair down and just go have fun, go put on a good show and have some fun racing.
Oh, okay. That's even better than we thought. Jet, what's your take on that? You got a big enough points lead to slug it out here and not have to worry about, let's just not mess this up for the title?
Yeah, I mean, we both have a fairly healthy, points lead, Hunter said. So I think it's just kind of really going out there and racing, it's like any other race, really. I mean, I don't think we're going to do anything stupid where we're going to be trying to take each other out or like risking ourselves. But I mean, if we're 1 and 2 and if I'm second and the pass is there, I'll take it, and vice versa. Like, we're not going to do anything crazy, stupid out of our way. I mean, our main goal is obviously still be 1-2 at the end of the day. So we, you don't know. We're just kind of, it's whoever's feeling that day, really. Whoever's kind of feeling maybe more risky. So, I mean, at this point, we don't know. I mean, just have to wait, really.
I've talked to you and Hunter both individually. I know you're his biggest fan. When he's racing, I've heard you're screaming, running around the house for him. Hunter, the same with you. How hard is it, though, to flip that switch off? Because at the end of the day, you're lining up to win the race. And just because you're brothers doesn't mean you don't want to win the race, but you're also going to be lining up against someone that's your biggest fan, that you're the biggest fan of. So how do you flip that switch, shut all that stuff off, and just go try to win the race?
Well, respectively, when the helmet comes on, it's more of like a screw you. Not really much of a fan side of thing. It's fan side of thing anymore. But I mean, no, once we put our helmets on, we know our job. We're not paid to be each other's fans on the track and try and let one go at a time. I mean, we're still racing for our championship. So I mean, it's in the back of our head, we're cheering for each other, but then again, we're always kind of cheering each other no matter what. So I mean, it's just it's a tricky situation, but I mean, we both know our job, what we need to do out there, so it doesn't change or doesn't make a big deal for us.
And Hunter, this one's for you. I remember back Salt Lake City a couple of years ago, both on the podium, magical night at a Showdown. Then last year, Atlanta. So you guys have had a chance to race each other a couple times in the last few years, but how does it feel to know that you get another chance to do this 2 more times? This weekend's the big one because it's first, but knowing that you'll get 2 more chances to do this special East-West Showdown together. And then after that, probably won't happen again.
Yeah, it's cool. Like you said, we got 2 more chances this year, but I think it's unique because obviously we're both each other's fans when one of us is racing, but it's kind of similar to outdoors. When we race each other, it's kind of like I want to win and so does he. But if we have to get beaten or we get beaten, I think we'd both rather it be by one of each other, because then it kind of like, in a sense, or in a weird kind of unexplainable way, it softens the blow a little, because it's your blood, and it feels like when he wins, it feels like I win, a part of me wins, and same vice versa. Obviously in the moment it's like, oh, damn it, he beat me or whatever, but when you look back at it, you're like, oh well, I'm glad it was my brother, my training partner, the guy that I've grown up with, and we've grown from nothing to where we are now, than rather be that guy than someone else that isn't part of this family.
Can you guys still step back a little bit every once in a while and think like, this is nuts? Between the 2 of us, we've won all but 1 race each, and we're the guys that are hyped to win both titles and battle each other. Like, can you have that perspective of where you were, say, 7 years ago, to think that watching Supercross, you've gotten to this point, racing it?
Yeah, for sure. It's tough to do because we're so driven, and we're always, whenever we achieve a goal, we have to try our best to remind ourselves to cherish it and stuff, because we're so driven. It's hard not to just go on to the next goal, and I think all the greats in the sport, are equally as guilty of doing the same thing. So yeah, it is tough, but it is pretty cool to look back. Even last year, throughout the year, Lawrence brother was on the podium every race except one from each brother in Supercross, and then pretty much every weekend in outdoors, one of the brothers was on the podium. So yeah, it's a pretty cool streak and stuff for our father and family, more so than us, as a tip of the cap to our father and everything our family and our team, our circle, our agent and trainer have all endured and gone through to get to this point.
Okay, look, this is our first look at you guys against each other this year, but we know how motocross works. You guys ride together during the week. I'll let you retort if you want, Hunter, but Jet, anything special when you're riding in the last couple of weeks, measuring each other, seeing things, picking up on things, anything that you can use?
I don't really think so. It's kind of like just whoever gets the better start and is feeling that day, really. Because we're both pretty close in speed, and I would say we're both like in a 250 kind of prime. you could say. So, like, it's kind of whoever's on it that day, whether it's feeling that track a bit better, whether it's feeling more spunky that day. So, I mean, no, I feel like we're both pretty mentally strong on a bike, so I don't think there's ever trying to, like, mentally break each other on the track. There's no, like, panic revving on the inside because we do that all the time. So it's, I don't know, it's just whoever's feeling it that day, really.
What do you think, Hunter?
Yeah, we when you said that question, when you asked him, we actually haven't ridden together on a Supercross track since, geez, I'm trying to think. I want to say before Tampa.
Wow, okay.
Like, it's been a long time because obviously when the series went east and I was on Supercross, Jet was on the outdoors, and then as soon as the series would come back, you know, to Jet the week of, he would jump on Supercross, I would be on outdoors, you know. So this week was going to be the first week we were going to be on Supercross together, but I haven't rode it all this week from what happened on the first lap at Atlanta. So,
all right, this has been as good as we thought it was going to be. They don't even have any ridden together, so that makes it that much better. Thanks for the time, boys, and just put on a show. Thanks for getting this far and making it this fun. Thanks. Okay, 30-second board time. Hot topics within the sport. I can't believe it. We're within about 5 weeks of the Pro Motocross Championship opening up. This dynamic Supercross title fight is certainly taking up all of our oxygen right now, but it won't be long till we get another one. And last year was spectacular, so let's do it again.
Yeah, what a summer 2022 was. To think about the championship battles coming, throw Jet on a 450, Dylan Ferrandis' return, Tom Vial, welcome to the U.S. I can't wait to see what he does this summer. And, you know, if we're coming off of, or East Rutherford coming up this weekend, we do get a glimpse of what the 250 class would look like, sorta. Now, Jet will be in there this weekend, but he won't be there this summer. But a chance to see Hunter Lawrence and Tom Vial and all these guys all matched up together. It's going to be very exciting. And yeah, a good summer coming, especially if you're Honda. Think back to last year at round one at Paula. Honda swept the day. They swept and dominated everything, which is the exact same thing they did in Atlanta. So Honda's got to be feeling good about where they are now and what's coming in about a month.
It's really strange because Honda is now followed with this shadow, or the curse of the GOAT, as some people call it. They have not won a 450 title since Ricky Carmichael departed in 2004. So I feel like every year is tinted with disappointment for Honda. But meanwhile, you're right. Look at all these little individual milestones. We saw them sharing the podium. What was that, at Detroit, I think, where they swept? They swept again this weekend. They've had multiple nationals where they've dominated. When you talk about Sexton, Rocks in the last few years, the Lawrence brothers, they've won so much. But the story is always, unless they get the 450 title, that's all we're going to talk about. So Chase Sexton, pressure's on. This weekend, we got a little double feature. MotoGP was in America for the only time this season at Circuit of the Americas. And we know the Supercross fans and riders and industry and media love that. And it's been a day race at Atlanta. I think there was practically a chartered flight. The 9:45 Atlanta to Austin, Texas flight on Saturday was all Supercross people. Lots of familiar faces hanging out. I don't know if fans quite realize the appreciation on both sides. You get two pinnacles of motorcycle racing. There's huge respect.
Yeah, because they both think the other one's crazy. Those guys think that Supercross guys are crazy for jumping. Supercross guys think they're crazy for going as fast as they go. In reality, for most people, they're all crazy, Weege. You were there. Did you have a chance to talk to anyone in particular?
Yeah, I did. Luckily, MotoGP had last weekend off. So a lot of the riders came to Glendale. I met Jack Miller in the Red Bull KTM pits at Supercross, and then we reconvened at MotoGP, and he told me what he saw at Glendale and how big of a fan of Supercross that he is. Supercross last week. You had a good time. You're a full-on fan of all this.
I love it. I love catching up with all the boys. Love, you know, the health of the sport at the moment. The field's so deep. It's awesome to watch. So no, it's shaping up to be a decent end to the championship for you guys. So I'll be watching with a very watchful eye.
Okay, we appreciate it. All right, that's Jack Miller. And speaking of this dirt to street, street to dirt transition, more news coming out of Triumph, a street brand who said they're going to go into SuperMotocross starting next year, and now they've announced officially, we should say, their test rider for the U.S., none other than Ivan Tedesco, who we're very familiar with, multi-time SuperMotocross champ.
Perfect. I mean, we already knew Bobby Hewitt was involved. We know Scuba's there. Obviously, RC's involved. But what's it going to be like on the motorcycle? Who's going to test? Who's going to develop this thing and get it ready for the next crop of Supercross stars to debut the bike? two-time Supercross champion in the lights class, Ivan Tedesco, and I think that's a perfect fit for him. He's been on the bike a lot, working with Pro Circuit Kawasaki over the years, so to hear that news official, that he's going to be part of that development, I just think that's an incredible move for them. And as a company, again, I know they're an established brand, but in this moto world, Jason, they're like brand new. They're like an infant baby. Speaking of infant babies, Daddy Hombre gets a baby, and I mean, hey, congratulations on the heat race win. You win one for the baby, but it didn't turn out with a dub for Jason Anderson after the heat race, after the AMA got involved in the heat race, Jason.
Jason Anderson and the AMA and the rulebook. Shocking. So at least we know, having a baby, being a dad, nothing is going to change. So Anderson too fast off the side of the track, penalized. That happened a million times when he wasn't a dad. And I think the word in the main event, he was just out of energy, no sleep. You and I have dealt with that in life. I think that was the problem, right? Dad life got him.
Dad life got him on the very first race in the very first weekend that he was a dad. Congratulations. And welcome to the next probably 2 or 3 years of being very tired, hombre.
Yeah. Okay. So new news there for Anderson, but we got old school news to bring on Atlanta. This is so cool. Supercross fans of a certain age remember Art Ekman and David Bailey as the classic, the gold standard of audio commentary in this sport. Well, Art, he's long since retired from the broadcast game, but he lives in Atlanta and he came out to visit. He got to go to the booth, talk to Ricky Carmichael and James Stewart. He called their races millions of times. Just so cool to see Art back around in the Supercross paddock one more time.
Man, Art is like the voice of, the voice of everything for me. I remember being young, coming up and growing, and every video I ever watched, it was Art Ekman. And so for him to be on the premises and go up there, I wish I would have had a chance to meet him. I was down there getting ready for the night program, afternoon program, but gosh, Art Ekman, man, what a voice. And it's just cool to see his appreciation for the sport. And I know everybody in the room appreciated seeing him. That was great.
Bar to bar, David Bailey. Yeah, I did get to work with Art a little bit when I was first breaking in, so always thankful for the lessons that he taught there. Maybe some lessons being learned when we talk about Justin Barcia. He's been a lot cleaner lately. And then this is really funny, he actually mentioned this. He's like an employee on the job with several days without incident.
Yeah, I was smart. I seen some spots I could have went for the move, but knew me, right? There was a few spots, but how many days I'm clean am I now? Quite. You're the stat guy. Let's know. I got somebody this year. Actually, I got Chase actually, but that was not intentional, right? That's what I always say. It wasn't intentional. I mean, it wasn't, but it happened. But yeah, I've been clean for a while, so I seen some opportunities, and I just was like, hey, be cool.
Don't relapse.
It's just a heat race. Don't relapse.
And honestly, it threw me off. I was like, dude, I thought you were going for it.
I was going for it, but I just be clean.
Did you think about it, though? Did you consider it?
That's a bad question. You know the answer to that question. I thought, but I was like, just be smart.
Hey, that's a funny exchange. You host these press conferences, and you're saying that Barcia, he wanted to loosen things up.
Yeah, he told me before the presser, he said, do something different, make this thing fun. And I could just tell by the mood they were all in. They were all pumped to be on the podium. It was an afternoon. They knew they were getting out of there early. And I was like, all right, if you guys want to play, then let's play. So we just kind of dove in, and then it spiraled at a number of different times. But Justin's clean. He's clean. And Kenny wants him to no relapse. Don't relapse. Stay who you are. We like you. We like you now.
It takes me back, though, when he and Tomac had an argument a few years ago. And Eli yelled, have you ever passed someone clean? And Barcia threw out this year? So he's had moments, and he goes back. So watch out, Ken. But either way, Barcia's riding awesome. And he announced that he's back with the team. I think we all knew this was coming, but a 2-year extension. That's big.
Yeah, 2-year extension, and he is in now the title fight for 4th. Anderson's issues in the main event kind of pulls him out of it. But Ken Roczen and Justin Barcia, as we look at the 450 points, they're going to battle it out for 4th. You know who's not battling out for 4th is Chase Sexton. I'm going to say it again, Jason. He's battling for the championship. And if we look back at that stat we've talked about, always thrown away 35 points and the 7-point penalty and this and that. I mean, you go through the year, all the points lost, he's still within range. And I think that the story here is, can he continue to win like we think he can? And can Barcia and Roczen continue to be great and interfere? But these 450 points, that 17 is not as big as it looks. I think with 4 rounds to go, this thing is really, really tight.
Really cool to see a rider who we thought might miss the entire season with injury, Joe Shimoda, Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki, back in action. A pretty solid ride with 4th.
I'd say not great. not bad, just solid. Got his laps in, a couple of issues here and there. I think he'll be better at the East-West Showdown, but I really am looking at Nashville. That's an East-only race. I think that's when you're going to see the best of Joe Shimoda. I give him a little bit of a pass at Atlanta and the Showdown, knowing that he hasn't raced, but I'm totally fine with the performance, Jason. But Nashville, I think you're going to see the best of Joe Shimoda.
I want to talk totally fine. How about the rookie season for Hayden Deegan? Now the podiums are becoming normal. He gets another podium in Atlanta. That's not even shocking anymore. He's up to second in points. I know Hunter has a giant lead, but I mean, if some crazy thing were to happen, you could honestly be looking at Hayden Deegan as the Supercross champ in his rookie year.
Don't play around with that talk right there. You're going to get everybody all fired up.
We're going viral.
But mathematically, he's second in points. And if anything was to happen, he would. Anyways, look, he's checked every box. Well, not every box. He's won heat races. He's been on the podium. He's led laps. He's second in points. All he needs is a win. And honestly, the way he's riding right now, I would not be shocked. You asked me 2-3 weeks ago, I'd have said no way. I would not be shocked if he snuck a victory in by the end of this season. He is that good, and it's getting. I mean, he's going from good to great super, super fast.
Yeah, and avoiding the big mistakes you would expect out of a rookie. That's why he's second in points. But as you mentioned, a distant second. Hunter Lawrence could wrap up the title 2 races early, fairly easily this weekend.
Well, it's 7 points, so here's your math. If Hunter wins the East-West Showdown like he did last year at Atlanta, and Hayden was to get 4th, which I think that would be a great ride at the East-West Showdown. That's nothing to be upset about. That'd be an incredible ride. That math leads to Hunter Lawrence winning his first Supercross championship. So it's not that far-fetched. The East-West Showdown could help this. If it was just an East race, I would say probably not likely, but it could happen. And a lot of the reason is, Jason, is because of those injuries. Nate Thrasher, we saw him go down huge in that main event. Word is he had an injury to the hip. We knew he had a knee injury, so he's actually going to get in there and get things fixed and cleaned up about a month earlier than we expected, Jason, which could actually play into the SuperMotocross World Championship playoffs. But for Thrasher, I'm bummed. But for Tom Vial, it's good to know. Word from the team is he's okay, and he should be racing in East Rutherford.
All 31 Supermotocross World Championship events can be streamed domestically. That's here in the U.S. on Peacock. So to subscribe, go to peacocktv.com/sports/supermotocross.
And for the fans of Supermotocross, they'll have a chance to watch it all year long on Peacock, NBC, and USA Network. And for the international fans, you can join in the fun by getting the Supermotocross Video Pass. Go to supermotocross.tv to purchase access to every moment of the 2023 Supercross season, the Pro Motocross season, and of course Super Motocross live events in one place. Plus, get over 800 plus hours of archived races.
All right, it's that time of the program. Fowler's Facts. We bring out our statistician, Clinton Fowler, and you know what we're going to talk about this week, everybody. It's Lawrence Brothers. It's East-West Showdown in New Jersey. And this has been brewing for a long time. And I feel like it kind of started on this show, Clinton, because the stats, the data keeps showing Hunter Lawrence as closer to Jet than most people realize. So do you see an edge at all at this point between the two brothers?
So I do, but I want to make sure we level set before we dive into some of those details. Jet's got 3 championships. Hunter doesn't have a championship.
Yeah.
We got to level set that difference is important, right, Daniel?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the macro level discussion here. Jets won 3, Hunter's won 0. Now we can move on to the rest of the details.
So, listen, there's a ton of similarities between these guys. They've virtually got the same amount of starts. Their average finish position is just about the same. The win is just about the same. So, like, other than those championships, you can kind of throw a blanket over and say they're very similar. But there are some exceptions. The first one is on speed. You look at their career, Jet's got 12 fastest qualifiers, Hunter's got 8 fastest qualifiers. So there's clearly a speed advantage. And there's a little bit of subtlety because I think this year there hasn't quite been as much, but historically there has. So that's 1. 2, the laps led. Hunter does not have the same amount. He's really not in the ballpark. He's got 6 per race. Jet's got 8 per race. So that ends up being 244 total for Jet, 158 for Hunter. So there's an advantage there, right? So lots of similarities, but there's still a couple of differences there.
Okay, yeah, slight edges to Jet, but I still think this is blowing people's mind when we keep comparing them as close. Because remember, this is what we're all basing this on. There were 2 whole seasons where Hunter Lawrence couldn't even get to the Supercross races because he kept getting hurt. So that gave him the tint of he's not a Supercross guy. He came over from the GPs. He's a motocross specialist. I think it's just taking us a long time to realize that's in the past. We're going almost 3 full seasons now where he is super consistent and isn't a crasher in Supercross. But that said, you said there were 3 differences between them. What's the last one?
Yeah, the third one's the important one, at least from my perspective, and it starts. And that's where Jet's got the advantage. And we know starts are so important to winning races. Jet in his career, 8 hole shots. Hunter's only got 3. He's got a full start position advantage and nearly a full first lap position advantage. And I just look at those first turns, Daniel, and I think you got to get there first. That's that you get out of the fray, you don't get caught up with people. So I think that's arguably the most important difference between the 2 of them and something critical moving forward.
Well, if you've seen Jet Lawrence in years past too, he's been great at starting up front and managing the situation and only doing what's needed to win. He does have the speed. He can make the passes when he needs to. But I guess, Clinton, in the numbers, what does tip the scale here? Is it the guy who starts? Is it the guy who has the speed? Is it the consistency in podiums? I mean, if we are trying to tip the scale one way or the other in at least this current talk, what does tip the scale between the 2?
I mean, 5 keys to the championship, I call both of those things out. So I don't know which one between the 2 is most important. But, I mean, I don't know. Weech, do you have an opinion on which one of those is most important?
Well, I would actually say it would be starts normally, but that's what makes this weekend so exciting. When you're taking a 1 race sample size, 1 random start, it's not like Jet is so much better at starts that there's no way Hunter can start in front of him. We're talking 1 gate drop for all the marbles and the bragging rights this weekend, so I take that one out. I just want to do this for the last time. Again, I know that the idea that Hunter and Jet might be equals is probably jarring from where we were a few years ago when somebody was saying that Jet was generational. So let's do head and heart. The numbers say they're darn close. Daniel Blair, do you believe they are actually close? Or is there an edge to Jet that the numbers don't show? Or do you think it is as even as it's starting to look on paper?
Well, I think I'm with you where the beginning, there's a big difference. Jet had a lot of success. Hunter had all the issues. But as we showed on Race Day Live, starting in 2022, last season, these 2 are almost identical in every single way. But Clinton, I'll come back to you on the starts. What are Hunter's start positions over the last 4 rounds? I know that's a little bit of recency bias, but at the same time, that matters. How are his starts right now going into East Rutherford?
Yeah, so if you look at the season, it basically mimics what you see for the career. But if you look at those last 4, he's not been worse than 2nd place at the start line. So he's clearly cleaned it up. He's clearly got the starts down. So to your point, if you think it's take the starts, then going into this, he might just be completely even. But I don't know. Historically speaking, there's definitely been a little advantage for Jet on those starts.
All right, Daniel, head and heart. You going to pick one? I'll make my pick. What do you got?
Deegan.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I just want to see if the servers could handle that. I think we're clear. No, I'm going with Hunter, honestly. And as equal as they are, flip a coin. For me, it comes down to something simple and immature. I'm a big brother. He's a big brother. Big brothers win. Little brothers don't win. So, Team Hunter this Saturday.
Wow, that definitely was the heart side of the argument instead of the statistical.
Full
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm going to go the other way. I feel like Jet has stuff in the tank that we don't see every weekend. As you said, he's a master of just doing what he needs to do to win. I feel like he's got another 8 or 10% in the tank that we just don't always see. And if he needs it, he can get it. We saw it in Pro Motocross. He's able to beat his brother for those 2 titles. So I'll put my money on him. If Deegan does win, yes, Lord help us, what that's going to mean in the hype machine. But either way, we love having all this stuff. I feel like a lot of this, we don't know what's going to happen is based on your stats, Clinton. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, looking forward to this weekend, gents.
Time to wrap up this episode of SMX Insider. Let's tease it. We're going to New Jersey. Titles on the line. Brother versus brother. It's so good, we're going to add a half hour to our coverage. So you can watch the regular Race Day Live program starting at 1:30 Eastern Time. And then we'll have our night show begin at 6:30, which is a half hour early for a special pre-race show. We'll show you opening ceremonies and all the pageantry that make Monster Energy Supercross what it is, and the racing starts right after that. So it's all on Peacock, 1:30 for Race Day Live, 6:30 for our night show. And Daniel, what a show we're in for.
Yeah, top to bottom. I mean, we have the 450 championship that's gotten extra spicy since the Atlanta race. You got the East-West Showdown, which is, of course, Jet versus Hunter, but it's also a preview to the Pro Motocross Championship with the East and West guys all coming together, not Jet. And then it's a futures race, too. So for Ryder DeFrancisco and Daxton Bennick, a chance to maybe get a little revenge on Julian Beaumer and his victory at the last stop in Glendale. So from top to bottom, I think it might be one of the most exciting races of the season, and the timing couldn't be better.
Yeah, springtime in New York. We'd love if you want to watch on Peacock, but come to the race. Enjoy it. It's a great time to be in that region of the country, by the way, and enjoy the nightlife as well after the race. But one other thing we want to talk about before we go, our last chance. How about some sort of history being made in Atlanta, a two-stroke in the big class making the show?
You know, what's funny is when those things happen, you always wonder, like, how did he sneak in? How was Jared Lesher able to just sneak in on that two? Jason, he didn't sneak in. He passed his way in. He rode incredible, and that bike was barking all over the stadium or all over the speedway. And yeah, so shout out to Jared Lesher, not only on making the main, which is difficult, but doing it on that two-stroke and letting that bike sing to the crowd. So congratulations to Jared. And hey, 2 for 2. Do it again, Jared. Get it done in East Rutherford.
Yeah, we would never get tired of that. Keep making it happen. Okay, that's our show this week. He's Daniel. I'm Jason. We will see you this weekend right outside New York City at MetLife Stadium.